Since childhood, we've been taught that life only rewards effort, struggle, and sacrifice. We grew up hearing that nothing comes easy, that you have to fight hard to achieve anything of value. This belief became so deeply rooted in us that we started to doubt everything that comes with ease. Even in the spiritual field, this conditioning follows us like a subtle shadow, making us believe that we'll only be worthy if we suffer enough first. Over time, this pattern also infiltrated the way we seek the invisible. Many people get lost in repetitive rituals, rushed affirmations, anxious visualizations. Spirituality becomes just another to-do list instead of a space of presence, as if it were possible to convince the universe through exhaustion. But what if it wasn't like that? What if true manifestation didn't require exhausting effort, but rather clarity, coherence, and vibrational surrender? Quantum physics and spiritual neuroscience, as taught by Bruce Lipton and Joe Dispenza, show us that the field responds to the real vibration of the being, not to performance or superficial desire. Reality does not bend to the scream of the mind that demands, but to the silence of the heart that already feels. This may sound counterintuitive, because we were trained to only trust what requires a lot. Simplicity makes us suspicious. Here lies the paradox. Manifestation is, at its essence, simple, and it's precisely because of this that so many give up, because the rational mind, used to the drama of control, rejects what it cannot dominate. Simplicity for the ego feels like a threat, like something too good to be true. And so we keep insisting on methods that drain us, even when the soul longs for pause. Maybe you're going through this right now. You've tried everything, you've grown tired, and you've even started to doubt spirituality itself. If that's the case, know that there is another way, a quieter but deeply transformative path. This video is an invitation to rediscover that way, not with ready-made formulas, but with a truth that vibrates within you. Manifestation is not about deserving. It's about aligning with what already is. There is an idea that silently inhabits the heart of almost all of us, that only those who suffer deserve. From an early age, we were taught that pain is a kind of moral filter, that only those who have proven they fought hard enough are worthy of receiving. This belief may seem harmless until we begin to realize how it shapes our deepest vibration, especially when we try to manifest a new reality. When you believe, even unconsciously, that everything has to be difficult to have value, you repel ease. The mind begins to distrust what is simple, and the heart, already used to frustration, closes itself to the subtle accesses of the quantum field. This belief that value lies in effort creates an invisible static between you and what you wish to experience. When you try to manifest something from this programming, the field perceives a mixed signal. On one side, the desire; on the other, the vibration of "I don't deserve it yet." This incoherence blocks the flow. The universe does not respond to what you want, but to what you vibrate as possible. And if within you, the idea is still inscribed that you must suffer a little more, then your reality will keep delaying what could already be here now. Bruce Lipton explains that subconscious beliefs are more powerful than conscious thought. They operate as filters between you and reality, influencing everything from your biology to your decisions. When your emotional base associates value with difficulty, you naturally create invisible obstacles, not because you're incapable, but because you're trapped in an outdated logic. It takes courage to question this conditioning, to admit that what we've learned may no longer serve us, that maybe the soul is ready to receive with ease, but the ego still demands proof, and that proof comes in the form of unnecessary struggle. Unlearning this cycle is a profound act of liberation. When you understand that your worthiness doesn't depend on how much you suffer, you begin to open space to manifest with authenticity, not guilt. Imagine for a moment a radio. You don't build the station, you don't force the music to play. All you do is adjust the dial until you catch the desired frequency. The music already exists, you're just tuning into it. This metaphor is one of the most powerful ways to understand what manifestation in the quantum field truly is, because it reminds us that reality doesn't need to be created from scratch. It is already there, waiting to be accessed. In quantum manifestation, it's not about asking forcefully, nor about convincing the universe to give you something. It's about becoming compatible with what already exists in potential. The realities you desire, a new love, a healed body, a peaceful life, are like vibrational tracks playing on different stations. You don't need to fight for them, you just need to tune in. This is the point where many get confused. They think they need to build the new life as if it were not yet available. But the quantum field, as Greg Braden's studies and the very mechanics of particles show, is an ocean of simultaneous possibilities. Everything exists now, and what determines what you experience is your vibrational state, not your mental effort. Tuning in this context, is not a passive act. It's an internal adjustment of perception and emotion. It's when you begin to move, in thought, body, and feeling, as if you were already living what you desire, not out of illusion, but out of vibrational conviction. When this alignment happens, the collapse of reality is not magic. It's the natural consequence of a frequency choice. Many try to manifest with admirable discipline. They make affirmations, visualize scenarios, pray with faith, but behind all of it, there is a silent feeling that contradicts the intention, the sense of still not having, of still lacking, of not being enough. This misalignment is subtle, but it is exactly what interrupts the flow of manifestation. Because the field does not respond to spoken words, it responds to the inner state that sustains them. Saying I am prosperous while feeling fear of not paying the bills does not create prosperity. Saying I am loved while carrying the pain of abandonment does not create connection, not because the technique fails, but because of vibrational incoherence. The body's dominant energy speaks louder than the mind's words, and the universe, sensitive to vibration, responds to the real emotion, not to the superficial intention. Joe Dispenza reminds us that the brain and body function as an integrated program. If you think something elevated but feel something dense, the body wins. It is older, more rooted, and it will continue to emit the frequency of lack until it is reprogrammed with emotions compatible with what you wish to live. That is why manifesting is much more about feeling the desired state as real than about declaring it. It is not about pretending or fantasizing, but about inhabiting, even for true instance, the vibration of it already is. Lack is not dissolved with more effort. It is dissolved with presence. When the body feels that something is possible, it begins to vibrate in another direction. And that is when reality starts to bend. There is a silent turning point on the path of manifestation. The moment you stop trying and start vibrating. This point is called coherence. Coherence between what you think, what you feel, and what your body expresses. When these three aspects walk together, a powerful magnetic field forms around you, and it is this field that begins to shape reality around you. Most people desire something with the mind, but feel the opposite in the body. They affirm abundance, but walk with fear. They dream of love, but hold on to old wounds. They want health, but live in a state of tension. This is not guilt, it is disconnection. A subtle fragmentation between thought, emotion, and action. And this fragmentation sends confusing signals to the field, which does not know what to collapse. Dr. Joe Dispenza proves in studies that coherence between brain and heart creates a measurable electromagnetic pattern. When this pattern stabilizes, the whole body enters into harmony, like a tuned instrument. And it is in this state that synchronicities begin to happen, not as magic, but as a natural response to the vibrational order that has been restored. That is why, before thinking about what you want to manifest, ask yourself, am I vibrating this now? Not with effort, but with presence. Coherence does not demand perfection, it only asks for truth. And when what you think, feel, and live walk together, the field understands this is real. And it begins to reorganize itself to reflect this reality from the inside out. There is something unsettling about simplicity. When we hear that manifestation can happen with softness, with lightness, almost like an inner whisper, a part of us immediately distrusts. That part is the ego. It was trained to seek complexity, to need effort to feel that something has value. When everything becomes too simple, the ego feels it is losing control. The ego feeds on the idea that it must deserve, prove, conquer. And when it faces a reality that can be accessed through presence and alignment, it has nothing to cling to. The absence of effort feels like a threat. That is why many people abandon their manifestation processes not because of failure, but because they cannot stand the silence between intention and materialization. This is the paradox. the truth is too simple for the ego to accept. The collapse of reality happens in silence, in the invisible, not as a grand spectacle of control. But for those trained in the logic of struggle, this can feel like apathy or spiritual laziness. And then the cycle of effort begins again, in the attempt to deserve what is already available. Recognizing this movement is liberating. When you realize that the conditioned mind complicates what the soul has already understood, you begin to open up to another way of living, a way that is more present, more connected. It is not about doing less, but about doing with coherence. Simplicity is not the absence of action, it is the absence of noise. It is common to confuse simplicity with passivity. When people understand that manifestation does not require exhausting effort, some may interpret it as an invitation to inertia, but that is not what it is about. True manifestation does not deny action. It simply proposes a different rhythm, a wiser rhythm, where action is born from resonance, not anxiety. The universe does not respond to haste, but to clarity. When you act out of fear that nothing will happen if I don't do something now, you send the vibration of doubt into the field. But when you wait with presence and move with inner conviction, even the smallest step carries power. The difference lies in the origin of the gesture, anxiety or alignment. Nature shows us this principle all the time. Light always travels the path of least resistance. Rivers flow where the terrain allows. Life itself organizes in harmony with what is already set in the field. In the same way, your deepest desires do not need to be pushed. They only need to find space within you to pass through. Acting with alignment means listening to the body before responding. It means noticing when the moment calls for rest and when intuition whispers, now. There is no formula, there is listening. And the more attuned you are to your inner field, the easier it is to recognize the moments when action does not come from fear, but from vibrational truth. Neville Goddard expressed it with almost disarming simplicity. You do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. At first glance, this phrase may seem like just a nice idea, but it holds a profound principle of vibrational manifestation. Because wanting something is different from being it. Wanting still carries absence. Being carries vibrational truth. In the quantum field, the reality that manifests is the one with which you vibrate in coherence. No matter how much you visualize or wish for something, if inside you live in the expectation that it is still far away, manifestation will not respond to rational desire but to the embodied vibration of someone who has already assumed the reality as complete. Neville suggested a powerful exercise. Live an entire day as if you were already within the reality you most desire. Not as if you were acting, but as if you were remembering who you are. By embodying this state authentically, your body begins to emit different signals. And the field, sensitive to this information, responds by reorganizing external circumstances. This practice requires surrender, because it invites you to act before you see, to feel before you touch. It asks that faith not be expectation, but a way of inhabiting the now with the awareness that what you desire already exists. You are not searching, you are remembering. You are reconnecting with a state of being that has always been available, but that needed inner space to emerge. Modern science has begun to touch the invisible with greater humility. Researchers like Dr. Joe Dispenza have shown that there is a living intelligence in the space between the heart and the brain, and that when these two centers come into coherence, something extraordinary happens. The body not only balances itself internally, it becomes an emitter and receiver capable of interacting with the quantum field around it. This coherence is more than a pleasant emotional state. It is a measurable frequency. Studies show that when a person enters true gratitude or unconditional love, their electromagnetic field expands, influencing not only their nervous system, but also the environment they are in. It is as if the inner vibration reorganized the invisible geometry around them. Effects such as spontaneous healings, improbable synchronicities, and intuitive decisions that transform lives begin to appear in this state. Not because something magical happened, but because the body and consciousness began to vibrate in harmony with possibilities that were previously inaccessible. Reality responds precisely to this new signal. This connection between science and spirituality, does not eliminate the mystery. On the contrary, it honors it, because it shows us that inner states are not just subjective feelings. They are real tools of co-creation. When you are in coherence, your presence changes everything. Not because you are forcing, but because you have become field, presence, living alignment. In quantum physics, there's a principle known as superposition. It states that a particle can exist in multiple states at the same time, until observation collapses one of those possibilities into manifested reality. While it may seem far removed from daily life, this concept reveals something essential. All of your possibilities already coexist. And what determines which one is revealed is you. You do not need to build a new reality from scratch. You only need to collapse the one that already exists as potential. Love, healing, reconnection, purpose, all of it is already vibrating on an accessible timeline. But for it to become concrete, a clear alignment is required. Thought, emotion, and action facing the same direction. When you oscillate between trusting and doubting, desiring and fearing, seeking and avoiding, it is like trying to collapse two realities at the same time. The field responds with noise, confusion, delay, not as punishment, but because your vibration is fragmented. Like a radio trying to tune into two stations at once, the sound gets lost in between. That is why manifesting is an act of continuous vibrational choice. It is saying yes to the desired reality, and holding that yes even when the eyes cannot yet see. Each coherent thought, each aligned feeling, each resonant gesture is a silent vote for a reality. And when those votes accumulate, superposition gives way to manifestation. Manifestation is not a riddle to be solved, but a frequency to be remembered. And the more we release the need to control every step, the more accessible it becomes. There are three subtle yet profound keys that help simplify this process, not as techniques, but as inner postures. They do not speed up time, they fine-tune your presence. The first key is clarity instead of control. When you abandon the obsession with how and when something will happen, you allow the field to organize possibilities with more fluidity. Clarity about what you want, without rigidity about the path, creates space for the unexpected. And the unexpected is often the most precise way the universe responds. The second key is timelessness. When you stop forcing deadlines, dates, linear goals, and begin to inhabit the state as if it already exists, you step out of chronological time and into field time. The desired reality already vibrates now. It does not need to be pulled into the future, but recognized in the present. This changes the quality of your waiting. The third key is trusting the first alignment. Many times you feel a deep yes in a moment of clarity, but soon after, doubt invades. It is at that instant that everything begins to unravel. When you honor the first yes and remain in it, even when nothing around you has changed yet, you keep alive the frequency that collapses reality. Manifestation does not require insistence. It requires vibrational constancy. Quantum manifestation has never been about excessive effort, but about inner coherence. It is not about convincing the universe, nor about repeating formulas hoping for a magical response. It is about remembering that what you seek already exists and is waiting for a yes that comes not only from the mind, but from the body and heart in unison. When you understand this, you realize that you no longer need to run. You no longer need to prove yourself, nor accumulate rituals. Your desired reality is not under construction. It is in potential, alive, pulsing in a timeline that only becomes visible when you truly align with it. And here lies the secret. The more you complicate, the more you delay. The more you simplify, the faster you collapse. Manifestation does not demand an exhausting journey, but an inner space where reality can land. Life does not ask for infinite effort, but for profound clarity. The vibration of I already am is worth more than 1,000 requests. You can keep trying with effort, or you can begin to be with presence. Because when you speak, feel, and live as if it were already real, the field has no choice. It responds. Reality is not a distant promise. It is a reflection of what you already sustain in silence. So perhaps the most important question now is, what if the pain you feel today is the portal to the life your soul already recognizes as possible? The answer is not outside. It lies in how you choose to vibrate now.